Alright, y'all. So today I have not a kit balancement video. Well, I actually have a lore idea video. It's for Crocowolf, and it's called the Dormant Predator. Woo! And so basically, as y'all know, the devs are making these lore stories for kits, and I'm gonna try and share my ideas for the lore kids for kids that don't have lore, basically. And so yeah, I'm just gonna read it. In the valley of an unknown place lies two beasts, a crocodile, one with powerful jaws and thrashing tail. He was large and was the dominant predator in the region. Dodo birds, dinos, even chickens couldn't withstand his wrath. On land lied another predator, a great wolf, one with jaws well not as strong as the crocodile, but one with courage, speed, and a howl so great. Its diet was similar to the crocodile's, but rather than ambush, the wolf loved to view it and wolf loved to view it and attempt to run. The wolf loved chasing prey. It makes the thrill of the hunt. It makes the thrill of its hunt. The crocodile, meanwhile, used stealth as a trump card, and you are all creatures who approach the water often met fatal grasp of jaws clenched around their throat, face, or whole head, depends on which was grabbed. The two beasts were aware of the presence and thus remained under appropriate elements. The crocodile remained on land. The wolf was always within the ground of the forest grass until that evening. The crocodile and wolf were strikingly close to each other, more so, more so than ever before. They decided on one choice, a battle to determine the true apex predator of the valley. They clenched their jaws, prepared to attack, until suddenly an unknown projectile hit both, and they both lie dormant on the grounds of the valley. Both of them suddenly awakened, surrounded by technology, both of which locked in cage right next to each other. A researcher states, "Sir, are you sure this is worth it? It seems cool." The head of research states, "It's worthwhile, regardless of the pain and ache these three may receive." Three? The crocodile and wolf were confused. Three? When was there three? To the left of the crocodile's cage lies another being. A being with animal fur that seemed to stand on both legs. One that seemed strikingly similar to the ones in the lab coats. These thoughts were interrupted, and a blast of radiation hit them. All three, all three of the celled organisms let out their own wails of pain, and eventually the crocodile and wolf lost their life. While the human, while the human somehow was very much alive, but in agony. A sound goes steady. DNA successfully extracted. Prepare for insertion. Suddenly, another blast of radiation hit the man. The man cried in pain, and those cries were suddenly howls. The man's skin turned green. His backside closed. Suddenly, a tail grew. He felt his hair twitching and growing pale. His jaws were expanding and becoming dense. Eventually, the radiation stopped, and the man was feeling different. He felt like a domesticated animal, and that these coats of white were his creator. He, the cage opened. He stepped out. He sniffed them, seemingly familiar of their scent. However, he was hit with a metal rod, which made him cry out in pain briefly. The head of research states, "Scram, you pest!" The man, no, the thing, ran off into the exit away from the laboratory. He was in an unfamiliar place. The water was murky, and the trees had vines descending down. The thing jumped in the water, unfamiliar of the environment. The water was cold and stagnant. The thing hopped out, cold, freezing, worst of all, alone and confused. The thing shockingly walked on both fours and twos. However, the thing preferred to run on fours. Eventually, he came across an old village, the one with run-down buildings, and he explored the village. He came across cobweb and spiders often, but with his strength, he easily beat them. Always after victory from spider battles, he consumed them. They tasted horrible, but they were his only source of food. Eventually, the thing found a house with an open door. The thing entered and found one bed. He touched it. A tarantula instantly crawled out. One claw strike instantly killed it. He, in his natural nature, consumed the now lifeless spider. He was hairy, gooey, and gross. The thing was sad and whimpered like a wolf. He hopped on the bed and shockingly was comfortable, warm. It somehow felt like he wasn't alone. It felt like this furniture, whatever it was like a relief for him, even if it wasn't a living thing. And thus the thing stood by the bed for weeks. Of course, venturing out to occasionally devour spiders and seek hydration in showers. But he was always returned. Until that god-forsaken day. The thing drunk water from a pond and was returning to the house with his valuable artifact. Until until he saw those slab cuts again. Saw that they were deep composed in the bed. He ran towards them, begging them not to destroy, but all he was vocalizing whimpers and growls like that of a wolf and a crocodile, respectively. He was struck with a metal rod, the same one before him, and the head of research says, "Go wild, you little abomination!" He won't be happy this for much longer. Eventually, they heard the sound of the bed frame crashing on the floor, completely abolished, broken, and far from repair. The beast cried like a human and whimpered like a wolf, and eventually those cries turned into growls. The thing had not only been beaten and tortured by those lab coats, but on top of that, they destroyed what the thing held dear. The thing stood and got on all twos, transformed. Its jaw became wider, its skin bulged outwards, its tail grew by several feet. It looked at the researchers and attacked. He bit the head researcher's neck with such force he snapped all the bones within it. The, the head researcher screamed, but they were eventually moved. An unfamiliar one took a crossbow and shot at its shoulder, but it was so furious that nothing deterred it. It was going to kill them, murder them, eat them. He jumped on the woman researcher and mauled her face with both jaws, and claws, in which, in which, which, in which, in addition, which in addition also ironically grew a couple inches. The researcher, hold on. Sorry, guys. In which, additionally, also grew a couple inches. The researcher hesitantly looked at the thing, no, this beast, and fled. The beast pursued him like a wolf, and it howled at him, chased him ferociously, and even leaped onto his back and completely decapitated his head. One strike with his paw. The beast eventually died down. The skin bulged back inwards. The tail grew back in. His jaw and head eventually shrunk. The beast growled. It felt like itself again. Eventually, he scratched off the flesh of those loathsome lab coats, and eventually got to the bones. Using cobwebs and their skulls, formed a necklace with their skulls hanging as trophies. The thing howled and eventually ran off into the night. Alright, so that was basically it of my Crocowolf lore idea. No, I did not use AI. I do not use AI for these videos. I typed it all. And yeah, so let me know what you think.